it happened prior to the inbound. So then anybody can shoot the free throw.
This is arguably the biggest cheap shot in WNBA history. And yes, I know you've probably seen this clip more times than Angel Reese misses layups. Okay, maybe not that much. But after seeing the new pics of Caitlyn Clark looking like she just bench pressed a Lincoln Navigator after downing a gallon of muscle milk, I can't help but feel this moment was the turning point. The moment the haters went too far. The moment they awakened a monster. Now you may think I'm reading too much into one play, and that one outburst by Kamikaze Kennedy isn't the reason why Caitlyn now possesses biceps that can crack walnuts. But from the events before that incident, to Caitlyn's quiet but hugely impactful response after it, to the insights shared by her Iowa coach, it's hard not to see this as the WNBA's Karate Kid sweep the leg moment. We all know how that ended for Johnny and Cobra Kai, and now we're about to get the sequel. For Caitlyn Clark fans, this picture is yet another reason to believe this season will be one for the ages. And for the haters, this is, excuse the pun, shaping up to be their biggest nightmare. Their false narratives about Caitlyn's hype being about pigment over performance are about to dissolve faster than Meemaw's Alka-Seltzer. Let's get into it. But first, like this video to congratulate Caitlyn on the new pipes. So here's what's going on. On March 7th, in an exciting Big Ten clash between the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Ohio State Buckeyes, Caitlyn Clark was spotted courtside, enthusiastically rooting for her old teammates. It was a gripping contest with plenty of action. But by the end of the game, all fans could talk about was Caitlyn Clark gripping 100-pound dumbbells. In a viral snapshot, Caitlyn looked noticeably more toned and muscular. Naturally, Fever fans went nuts, and it's easy to understand why. Caitlyn's coming off a record-breaking rookie season where she won Rookie of the Year and finished 4th in MVP voting. She led the Fever to their first playoff berth since the Obama years, and this offseason, the front office has transformed this 20-20 team into a championship contender. So when fans saw Caitlyn getting ready to Hulk smash courtside, they couldn't help but think ahead to the upcoming season. The W isn't ready for year 2. She's about to cook so much this season. She's about to average 40-10-15. Any way you slice it, this doesn't look like a player satisfied with rookie accomplishments. This is the face of the league ready for her next act, determined to prove the doubters and the haters wrong once again.
Look, SVP, reality is coming. You look superhuman playing against 18-year-olds, but you're going to come with some grown women that have been playing professional basketball for a long time. Not saying that's not going to translate, because when you're great at what you do, you're just going to get better. But there is going to be a transition period where you're going to have to give yourself some grace as a rookie. And, you know, it might take a little bit longer for some people.
You know how they say you should never meet your idols? Well, this feels like one of those situations. Diana Taurasi was the first WNBA player Caitlyn Clark idolized, watching her lead the Phoenix Mercury from her home in Des Moines. 20 years Caitlyn's senior, and arguably the greatest women's basketball player of all time. There's no doubt that Diana's words carry a lot of weight for a young player starting her professional career. And by essentially saying, hey, you're good, but you haven't proved anything, and it's going to be hard, she wasn't exactly putting out the welcome mat. While Diana claims she meant no ill will by her comments toward Caitlyn Clark, I mean, she did say that great players like Caitlyn will find their footing. It definitely seemed like she was creating doubt about her ability to replicate her college success as a rookie. And Diana wasn't alone. Cheryl Swoops, a pioneer in the art of Caitlyn Clark shade, echoed Taurasi.
So will Caitlyn Clark be a good pro? Absolutely. Will Caitlyn Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now? Immediately? Absolutely not. Not gonna happen.
This all seemed like a warning shot from a jealous old guard that didn't like Caitlyn's hype. Instead of encouraging her, their comments sounded more like, what we did professionally is harder than what you did in college. You're good, but you're not gonna come in, steal our thunder, and get the glory for what we built. And of course it didn't stop here. Throughout the 2024 season, there were so many garbage takes from media and players trying to take Caitlyn down a peg, or 12, that I could make a 30-minute video. Drop a checkmark in the comments if I should make this after Caitlyn wins MVP and a championship. Anyway, it was clear that there were players and media folks who didn't embrace Caitlyn's popularity. Even though her ability to draw casual fans was critical to the success of the league, they, to protect their egos, needed Caitlyn to eat a buffet full of humble pie. And what started in the media quickly made its way onto the court. Last season, 17% of all flagrant fouls were on Caitlyn Clark. When you've got around 140 players in the league, 17% is clearly more than one player's fair share. And it soon became clear the rough play was taking its toll on Caitlyn. After a loss to the Seattle Storm, which dropped the Fever to 1-8 on the season, you could tell the abuse was getting to her.
I feel like I'm getting hammered. I don't know. I appreciate Christy getting a tech too. I don't know.
And then, the very next game, this happened.
Kennedy Carter now with 12 points off the bench.
Now, did you notice how nobody came to her defense? Sure, Aaliyah Boston helps her up and talks to the ref, but Kennedy Carter walked away without any kind of confrontation. Now, I know basketball is not hockey. You can't drop the gloves and chuck knuckles until your opponent is spitting chiclets every time your star player is as much as breathed upon. But still, this is your star. And in this case, after a blatant cheap shot, Caitlyn was more alone than Kevin McAllister whenever his family went on vacation. Caitlyn, after 10 games of getting pummeled, had a choice. Take the punishment, wilt under the pressure, or show the doubting legends she idolized that she wasn't just there to take her lumps as a rookie as they predicted and perhaps wanted. She was ready to dominate in ways they never did, and we all know what happened next. After going 1-8 to start the season, Caitlyn turned on the Jets, leading the Fever to a 19-12 record the rest of the way and their first playoff berth since 2016. And while Fever fans probably don't want to be reminded of just how bad their team was before Caitlyn, it's important to remember that just 2 seasons ago, the Fever were a 5-31 train wreck. So yeah, making the playoffs was a pretty big deal for a perennial loser. And that also makes Caitlyn's 19.2 points and 8.4 assists per game and records for rookie points by a guard, and single-season assists that much more impressive. It wasn't like she had the support of a championship-caliber team full of Olympians like Asia did with the Aces. Her Rookie of the Year and Time Magazine Athlete of the Year wins were deserved not just for her on-court performance, but also for her massive influence on the women's game. But here is the detail many fans missed that greatly contributed to her success. Caitlyn's results weren't simply the result of getting used to things. After the Kennedy Carter incident, Caitlyn put on 2 pounds of muscle within a month. One of the most tangible impacts of her muscle gain was her improved ability to finish through contact at the rim. Early in the season, she shot 56% from within 5 feet of the basket. By July, this figure had soared to an impressive 71%. Her added strength allows her to better absorb defensive contact, maintain balance, and convert contested layups, transforming a former weakness into a key strength. The added muscle mass bolstered her resilience, enabling her to withstand defender pressure without losing composure. Caitlyn was also more durable, allowing her to play every game with the second most minutes per game in the league. Long story short, instead of hitting X to complain about the hate she was receiving, she hit the gym. She adapted to improve and win. Knowing this, it should be no surprise that Caitlyn now looks like Sam Sulek with a jump shot. And for those closest to her who've witnessed her intensity and determination, Caitlyn's evolution was never in doubt. Her Iowa coach, Jan Jensen, explains it perfectly.
For the really, the Kobe's, the Jordans, the Caitlyns, maybe Diana Taurasi's, it is never personal. We just want to win the effing game.
Right.
So we're going to do what we think we got to win the game. So that mentality is really different for the majority of people who played the game.
Kobe Bryant's Mamba mentality was more than a mindset. It was the relentless drive that made him one of basketball's all-time greats. His work ethic was the stuff of legend. He'd hit the gym at 4 a.m., even after grueling games, and famously shot free throws with a torn Achilles because stopping wasn't an option. Kobe didn't just push himself, he demanded the same from his teammates, setting a bar so high it forced everyone to elevate or get left behind. His philosophy was simple: outwork yesterday's self and drag your squad along for the ride. Caitlyn Clark channels that same fire. She's not just a player, she's a force of will, wired with the kind of obsession that sets her apart in a league full of talent. This is why there never should have been any doubt about what she was going to accomplish in her rookie season, or that she would respond to the adversity. And now, Caitlyn Schwarzenegger is ready for round 2, with a supporting cast that is striking fear into the haters. After the 2024 season ended with a first-round sweep by the hands of the Connecticut Sun, the Fever front office went on a mission. They recognized what we all saw. They had a generational player who had the skill set, determination, and leadership qualities who demanded a supporting cast worthy of a championship run, not 3, 4, or 5 years from now, but today. So, they went shopping. First, they fired head coach Christy Sides and replaced her with Coach of the Year winner Stephanie White. Then, they re-signed Kelsey Mitchell, who scored just as many points per game as Caitlyn last year and has been one of the consistent bright spots for the Fever over the past 7 seasons. Then, free agency began and the Fever went all in. They brought in seasoned winners like DeWanna Bonner, a 2-time WNBA champion and 6-time All-Star, Natasha Howard, a defensive anchor who's no stranger to titles. And they also snagged feisty sharpshooter Sophie Cunningham, who adds another layer of toughness and range. Add in recent 2-time champion Sydney Colson, added depth in Brianna Turner, and let's not forget all-star Aaliyah Boston, who will benefit big time from the added talent and leadership surrounding her, and you've got a team that can win on any given night, with the championship pedigree to go deep into the playoffs. moves. These moves have sparked serious buzz. Analysts like ESPN's Rebecca Lobo called the Fever a championship contender, while Michael Vopel handed them an A grade for their offseason, noting they're poised to make a deep postseason run. And if fans weren't excited enough, now we've got Creatine Kate flexing courtside, sending a message that she's ready to take her play to another level. Remember when Caitlyn turned down Unrivaled to rest? Well, it looks like the only rest she got was between sets. Seriously though, there's no better example of Caitlyn's Mamba mentality than her decision to turn down a cool $1 million+ equity to focus on dominating and winning in the WNBA, which, if we're keeping score, pays her about the same as the assistant manager at your local Target. She chose long-term legacy over short-term pay. She trained, rested, stayed healthy, and now we're seeing the pipes to prove it. And really, while her opponents probably aren't thrilled about taking on a bulked-up Caitlyn and Fever team this season, a successful Caitlyn Clark is vital to their success. The WNBA was floundering before Caitlyn Clark arrived. For 27 years, it hemorrhaged money, surviving only thanks to NBA handouts, like a trust fund kid with no direction. Then Clark stepped onto the court, and the league found its heartbeat. Last season, she turbocharged viewership with her games, averaging 1.2 million viewers, accounting for a staggering 45% of the WNBA's total broadcast value. Attendance soared too. Fever home games drew 340,000 fans, while road games packed in crowds of over 20,000. Sure, the league was still $40 million in the hole, but without her, that hole would have been a bottomless pit. And if we've learned anything recently, her pull isn't fading, it's growing. A preseason game against a Brazilian team with no names casual fans would recognize sold out 15,000 seats, with resale tickets fetching thousands on StubHub. That's not luck, that's Clark's star power. The Chicago Sky's move to shift only their games against the Fever to the 20,000-seat United Center proves it's her drawing the crowds, not some collective league renaissance. The "it's not just her" argument, it's done. This is the WNBA's Michael Jordan and the Bulls moment. Think MJ in '91, catapulting the NBA into a global phenomenon. Clark's doing the same, pulling in casual fans and turning arenas into standing room-only spectacles. And then you've got the new $2.2 billion 11-year TV deal kicking off in 2026, bringing in $140 million more annually. This has Clark's fingerprints all over it. It could triple average player salaries from $120,000 to $300,000 or more. Anyway, all of the league's growth over the past year is because of Caitlyn's pull, and the league's growth will continue to hinge on her continued dominance. She's not just playing for herself, she's elevating the entire WNBA. As much as the Cheryl Swoops of the world may not like it, a Caitlyn Clark championship run and/or MVP nod will erase any weak sauce argument that her hype is all about color and not on-court performance. And, in the wake of Diana Taurasi's retirement, it would amplify the talk of Caitlyn being the GOAT in progress. They may not like that Caitlyn is stealing their thunder, but she is the lightning in a bottle the WNBA needs to reach new audiences, win over new fans, and create the platform for future stars like Paige Beckers and Juju Watkins to further amplify the women's game. It's a tall task to lift a league on your own, but Caitlyn has the mindset and now the muscle to do it. If you're still here, drop a basketball emoji in the comments. Thanks for watching.